Okay, great. Thank you so much, Eric. And always thank you to all of our kind of practice leaders and tech support folks. Shout out to Karen as well, and everyone who just kind of steps up, or everyone first who's made this space possible. Um, we're probably at this point at 6 years exactly of having Monday night medicine Buddha practice. And who thought it was going to go? I thought it was just going to be a little quarantine, pandemic, little practice that we could do while we're all stuck at home. But indeed, we just continued, because there's still suffering and disease and everything. And so I think medicine Buddha is the one of the practices we need to be doing right now, for our healing collectively and individually. So here we are, Monday nights from now until the foreseeable future. So welcome everyone. Welcome to those of you who are new to the space. This is indeed the practice of medicine Buddha, the ancient, profound um, tradition of healing and supplicating the expression of, well, really an expression of emptiness shaped into an embodiment that helps us to experience healing. Of course, the healing is about wholeness, but also it's really about remembering who and what we are, right? Remembering that we're already free, right? That we're already awakened and that we're just trying to get back, right, to that remembrance, that state. So we're just practicing trying to get back home, right? And so thank you so much for choosing to spend this time with us as well. So um, so I played, Nina Simone, her cover of House of the Rising Sun, which I love. She actually has two covers, two different covers, but this is my favorite one. And I love it. The recording is very raw. Like it's not, I think it was just recording from a live event. So it's not a great recording, but you still feel something really direct and transcendent from the recording, from the music. And the end, right, that I pointed out, right, that's something that space that opens up at the end of the song where it just feels like, Nina Simone is just kind of riffing. But for me, what I feel is that she's kind of slipping into this kind of like trance, this state, right? And she's opening something because Simone was a very powerful priestess, and her magic, her ritual was through music, right? And when you listen to her, some of you may have seen her live in person, um, over the decades, but like from all the recordings, which is just my only access to her, is that she opened portals, she cleared things out the way, she was moving energy, right, through her art, right. And so when she gets to that part of the song, it reminds me of the ancestor scene in the movie Sinners, right. It's the same spiritual technology that's happening, right. And what was happening in Sinners was actually happening. It just wasn't actors going through this. There was like actual kind of like opening happening in that film in the same way opening was happening in the song with Nina Simone. This is really, I felt the need to kind of surface this tonight as we move into our practice because so much of my relationship to all the deities, particularly Medicine Buddha, is always this invitation to open, to expand into the space. Um, the space of transcendence, the space that feels otherworldly. Um, but to get there, you have to let yourself go, right? You have to stop holding on so tightly and then kind of like loosen up the boundaries a little bit and start shaking and expanding a little bit into the space that opens. But that's what the ceremony leader does. That's what the priest does, right? That's what the shaman does. It's like the space opens, and we have to have the courage to kind of like step into it, right? To embody that, right? To hold that space open so that the rest of us can actually move into that experience as well. Um, as a ceremony leader, right, that work, right, is about really feeling, embodying um, this energy that's flowing to like actually step into this kind of current of movement and swirling, right? And just to hold that space, right? You hold the space and help others to enter into the swirling of that energy with you, but you're the anchoring of that, right? Um, and this is often like my experience working with deities and practicing with deities. It's just like this space that opens up, right? And in tantric practice, right, we're being asked to remember that we are the deity, you know, which is tricky, right? Because that can get us into some dangerous places. But the safeguard here, right, is as we become the deity, like we're not actually trying to leave our bodies in the process. We're becoming the deity within our bodies, within sensation, within thought, within our suffering, within our joy. Like that's all still present. But as you're like feeling the experience of the body, as you're being with the experience of the body, this different deeper experience of the body emerges, and that is the emergence of the deity, right? That the deity hasn't taken us outside of our bodies, but the deity has awakened in the same place we are, in the same time, in the same moment. So when I am becoming medicine Buddha, I know that I'm still Rod. I know that I'm still here in practice. I know that I'm still embodied, but I am having a much more spacious and fluid experience of my body. So my body isn't so rigid or limited. It's actually um, awakening to this experience of like this profound potential, right? And because I feel that potential, or I am beginning to embody that potential, I don't feel trapped. So my body like is no longer this experience of something that's carceral, but my body is this experience of something boundless, fluid, open, full of potential, right? That my body actually becomes an expression of the deity, right? And so therefore, no matter what we're experiencing with our bodies, within our bodies become sacred, right? The discomfort becomes sacred, right? The pain becomes sacred. The joy becomes sacred. Everything, there's a sacredness that opens. And this is where Nina Simone takes me in this song, into the sacredness of my body, because she is orchestrating this. She is the priestess who is inviting me into the ceremony of my body. But when we come into relationship with medicine Buddha or any tantric deity, the celebration of the body is also the recognition that my body is the body of the deity, right? That I don't have to like become something different, right? To get free. I'm already free, right? And so the practice is just helping us to realize that there's freedom right here, right? That I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to necessarily become anything else. But what I have to do is recognize that this potential, this openness, this transcendence is always here, right, with me right now. The earth, right, is a part of holding me as I'm entering into this transcendence, right? This is so incredibly important, right, for us, right? Because as we deepen into our practice, we're not trying to escape the world, we're not trying to escape the body. There's nowhere to escape to. Like there's like where are we trying to go? Like here is the liberation, here's the freedom, right? It doesn't have to be about trying to get away. We're trying to come back, right? To come home to this, right? This is part of the healing in this practice that we're trying to get to, right? That our bodies do what it does. If that's the right grammar, our bodies do what they do. My body does what it does. Your body does what it does. Right? And there is a perfection in that. Now, I don't like to use the word perfection, but like in this sense, like, I mean, whatever we sense or label as imperfect in Tantra is actually perfect, right? But it's a different understanding of perfection, right? So we've been talking about the perfections, in Blessed Slay, like the six limitless qualities, the six perfections, right? The six transcendent, qualities. But we often use the word perfection, which a lot of scholars really don't use. They think that's like a misunderstanding of some of the root language. But, the perfection, I would reclaim that and say the perfection is just the realization that phenomenon does what it does. The body does what it does, right? Phenomena is always just rising and falling, coming and going. It is what it is, right? That's the perfection. There's nothing to change, but what we're being called to do is to notice what is. And in that noticing, there is a deep appreciation, a deep gratitude that arises. My body is as it is in this moment, right? My body and all phenomena arises from this emptiness. And because it arises from this emptiness, everything is already sacred. Right? In a tantric worldview, everything is sacred because everything arises from emptiness. Everything is composed of this energy held by this limitless space. Right? There is nothing more perfect than that. Right? We don't have to keep shaping and manipulating everything, right, to bend to our suffering. That's the imperfection, right? Like everything doesn't have to be subjugated because we're uncomfortable, right? To hold that discomfort, to feel it, and then to respond to it, to make choices, to change what needs to change. You're changing it not because you can't deal necessarily with the discomfort, or you're changing it, not because you don't want to deal with the suffering. You're changing it because you're trying to get closer to this remembrance of liberation, right? We change, we respond, right, to make things much more conducive to this remembering of our awakened nature, right? So anyway, I just wanted to say that, right? There's so much ceremony happening. Ceremony is natural, right? The ceremony, this observance, the ways that we participate in making meaning of the phenomenal world and making meaning of experience. This is always happening, and this is what we do in our practice every week, right? We enter into a sacred ceremony. We enter into relationship with this more liberated understanding of perfection. Like we enter into this kind of transcendence that actually is not taking us out of our bodies, but is bringing us back, to our bodies, to have a different experience of our bodies that doesn't seem or feel so carceral, right? The ceremony and the ceremonies that we engage in are what makes like this the what often feels like the stagnant experience of life fluids. This is what pulls us from permanence back into impermanence, right? It pulls us from permanence back into the dance, back into the movements, right? Back into the flow, right? And that flow, if we do it right with the right intentions, takes us back to what we are, right? That yes, there's liberation in the body, and at the same time, we are more than our bodies. We're more than our identities. We're more than who we think we are, right? Medicine Buddha and all tantric deities in this tradition, they're inviting us back into this dance so that we can start remembering, right? That there is more than just chaos and violence and heartbreak and grief. There's also the joy, right? There's also the love. There's also the deep compassion. All this is always happening, right? And we offer our deep prayers to, like all of the Buddhas, as we begin our practice, we offer these prayers of supplication, right? We call to the spirits, to the Buddhas, to the Bodhisattvas, to the Yidams, to the benevolent ancestors, to the land, to the elements. We call to the stars and the planets, like we call to all beings of light, right? And as we call, we express our deepest intentions to be of benefits, right? And this is something I want you to do every day. I want you to get up and say, I call to everything and say, I am here to help, right? I'm not here to hurt. I'm here to help. Let it be known what your intentions are. Matter of fact, right? When you're going into different places that you've never been, like if you're going into a building, a home, or if you're like if you hike and you like hiking, into different, kind of rural, remote places. As you're moving through these places, announce yourself and your intentions to the spirits, the animals, the plants of that land, right? The spirits of the home, to the home itself or the building itself. I come here to be of benefit, right? I don't come here to harm, right? This one of the many, many ways that we're decolonizing our practice by remembering that everything is conscious, right? Everything is interested in being in communication with us, right? That we open to this communication, we open to this sacred dialogue, right? And the sacred dialogue is also happening with ourselves, with our own mind, with our own spirit, with our bodies, right? Tantric practice and tantric deity practice, like Medicine Buddha, is really about just conversations. Like our prayer is a conversation, our chanting is a conversation, our visualization, right, is a conversation, right? It's a dialogue, and it's like a give and take, a flow, right? And that opens us into this really profound experience of ceremony, right? And for me, if I haven't said this already, ceremony is how I experience freedom, right? This is how I experience a real intimate relationship with the phenomenal world, right? Ceremony is this sacred space, and it's sacred, right? Why is it sacred? For those of you who've been taking all these courses with me, why, how does something become sacred? Well, we pay attention, right? We start paying attention. The sacredness comes with awareness. This is extraordinary. It is extraordinary that something is arising out of nothing, you know that something arises out of emptiness, right? That is profound. And to recognize that that very natural rising, the natural creation and coming about, and all the causes and conditions that come together to create phenomena, when we pay attention to that, we can feel in awe of the whole process. Right? Of course, that's also the risk. We become too enamored by the process, and all of a sudden you have samsara. Right? All of a sudden you have this reality that feels so real that it feels like a cage. Right? So not only are we trying to feel the awe from creation, we're also trying to feel the relief as we engage in allowing phenomena to return back to its home. That is the process of creation and completion in Tantra. What is created must be completed, right? And that completion means a returning back to emptiness, right? Our bodies returning back to earth, ashes to ashes, earth to earth, right? That is the most important completion, a return back, right? And our practice is reminding us that we are trying to return back to the remembrance of what we are, that like all phenomena, we too arise from emptiness, spaciousness, energy. Our minds, right, itself is just, it's energy that is aware, but still energy. We are energy. Right? The fluidity, the dance, the movement of things, that's the energy moving within emptiness and space, right? And the energy is meant to be moving, but when it gets snagged, right, it starts creating like phenomena, right? And then our minds and rather our consciousness begins to shape that energy into something, right? Instead of just letting it be, right? This is also the root theories that, I work with, particularly around trauma, to talk about samsara, to talk about this kind of experience of delusion where it's like the suffering can be said to come from many, many sources, but in this case, suffering comes from how energy gets stuck and how we perpetuate that stuckness through misunderstanding. Right? Samsara is just having this perpetual experience of being constipated, right? And we're trying to shit it out. you know, a good ceremony sometimes comes with a good purge, right? Be it whatever, be it tears, be it wailing, right? Be it whatever. Something has to move. And that movement can feel overwhelming, but it has to move. You know, right? Everything is phenomena, right? The sound of my voice is phenomena. The light around me is phenomena. I'm talking about the actual physical light, not the halo that's around my head that some of you often see. The radiance that I'm always, you know, like projecting everywhere. Even that's phenomena, right? Phenomena in space. It's just space. Everything is space filled with this energy, right? And that's what we're trying to get back to, is this basic recognition and experience of energy. Some of us, you're good at that. Some of you are just, you're energy workers, like you get this, right? It's harder for other people, right? But this is where we start in our practice, right? We start with just where we're at. We start where we're at, and then we open to the ceremony that begins to take us into the truth of things, into the energy, the space, the emptiness, right? Into the rising or the creation, and maybe we get to witness the completion as things return back to its origins, right? When you have this view and this practice and this embodiment, because the embodiment, the feeling, right, the experience that's not intellectual, but a felt experience, right? When you have that, right, the world is no longer so antagonistic, you know, right? It's not so such a overwhelming, intense place, right? So let's continue, right? And also tonight, we're going to what I want to do at least once a month. But we have a couple of things that we're adding as we move through the spring and into the summer. So one thing I'll introduce is we're gonna at least one session a month incorporate what I would call a spirit transitional practice, right? So where many of us are praying and practicing for people who have recently transitioned or have begun their transition back into the bardo or the spirit world. And so I want to continue. We did this once or twice, but I want to just have a special little ceremony where we can just support our loved ones or, folks that we're practicing for, supporting them and moving through into the bardo by just clearing the way. So we call on all the elements really, right? But we'll be using water, right? Fire, herbal support, right? To clear the way for our loved ones to enter back. And this is ceremony work that is extremely needed, and we don't do enough of it. You know. Um,
And Lama Rod, if I may interrupt, just before we get deeper into practice, there is a question that came in from the chat from someone who is new to the practice.
uh-huh.
What do you mean by phenomena in this space?
I just talked about it. Everything is phenomena. Yeah, like everything. There's nothing that does not arise from emptiness. There's nothing that is not composed of energy, this fundamental energy. There's nothing that is not being held by space. Space is our doorway into the experience of emptiness, right? Space is always present. All of these elements are always present, right? So space, right? What keeps us from experiencing space is a thought. There's always a thought, right? A thought that we take seriously. And because we take it so seriously, it creates realities and narratives that we react to, and that reaction creates this whole collective experience that we're moving through together, right? Right? Samsara is just stuck energy that we have started reacting to and normalizing the stuckness instead of trying to get back to the flow, to the fluidity, the openness, to let our bodies go, right? In a way that's, of course, safe and grounded and tethered as we do in our practice, right? To free our minds from the ways in which we limit the boundlessness of our minds, right? To do all of this and still be in the body, right? To do all of this and still be human. To do all of this and still do what we need to do every day. Waking up, paying bills, raising kids, taking care of people, right? Watching our favorite shows, right? Surviving, grieving. To still do all of that and still understand that we're also expressions and rising from emptiness, just like all the Buddhas. right? To have these experiences, to live at the intersection of divinity and, I would say, ordinariness or mundaneness, right? But again, in the tantric worldview, everything is extraordinary if we pay attention, right? Yeah. So let's go further, right? So we've called to the spirits, we've called to the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, we've called to the lineages, but we come only wanting to be of benefit. This is the, I would say, the awakening of bodhicitta, right? And to go deeper into bodhicitta, right, we say, and may my practice not only free me, but may it free everything. Everything. Again, people, beings, but also phenomena. May phenomena be freed from my misunderstanding of phenomena, right? As I free phenomena, I am being freed. The sense of I is being freed. My body is being freed. My grief is being freed. To let things be. And so we continue by noticing the seat, noticing the weight of our bodies, the seat rising to hold us. The sensation of being held by the seat becomes an anchor. This anchor of the seat is an expression of what I would say the root anchor, which is the earth, the land. The earth that arises as an expression of the mother. As we think about the earth, we are touching the earth. As we touch the earth is touching us back. Though this can be a very abstract experience, we can slowly begin to feel how the earth is gently touching us as the earth is holding us. As we have been tethered by the land, we lift our attention to the space above us, to the sky. The sky, which represents the second half of the sacred duality, which is the Father. The sky that opens, clears, protects even. So even feeling how we're rooted or tethered by the earth, and as we lift up through our experience, we're being opened, expanded by the sky. And feeling the tethering and the opening, we can shift some attention to our breath if you're working with the breath, right? Just doing just a very simple awareness of the breath, just noticing your inhale, noticing the exhale, Inhaling into your nose, exhaling out of your mouth. As you exhale, really allowing your body to really surrender to the seat. As you exhale, also just releasing what needs to be released. Whatever you're holding on to as you enter into practice, let it go in the flow of the out breath. And turning your attention now to your heart center, right, your upper mid chest. Imagining that you are inhaling and exhaling in and out of the heart center, just in and out here. As we inhale, just feeling, noticing the lifting, the expansion of our diaphragm, our upper chest. And everyone, make sure your sound is muted, because if not, I'll get confused and think I'm talking to God. But as you're inhaling, right, and feeling the lifting, the expansion, right, of your upper chest. So as your chest expands, allowing your shoulders to drop a little bit, right? So as you're expanding, your shoulders are dropping, so that when you're inhaling, like you don't get tighter, right? But just relaxing the shoulders. So many, so many folks carry kind of like ancestral baggage on their shoulders and upper back. Right? Sometimes when your shoulders are and back are hurting, it's the ancestors. Now the space is already opening up for you. This is the space of ceremony. Like we've entered into this gate now. Right? And to move further, I invite you just to imagine within your heart center, right, within your chest, a light, like a flame, like a candle flame, awakening. It doesn't produce heat, it's just light, right? But it's gently beginning to radiate, kind of like your ET and how ET's heart center would radiate this gentle light. And I'm sorry if that's not a culturally relevant example for some of us. But ET was this alien, extraterrestrial, and I'm not going to get into it, but like a being whose chest glows. All right. And so you're that being now in your imagination. And so as this illumination, this awakening, we turn our attention to our opening mantra. Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha Medicine Buddha, please think of me. Right? So Kino, a sacred Tibetan word, which is often translated as to know, but we can translate it into whatever we need from Medicine Buddha. Do you need Medicine Buddha to see you, to hold you, to remember you? What is it that you're longing for from Medicine Buddha? So as we chant this, let your need shape the meaning of this mantra. And as always, we begin by chanting Om, and we end with Om, and in between, we chant the mantra 3 times. All right? So we begin. Let's inhale. Om la zange kino soha. Om la zange kino soha. Om la zange kino soha. And as we have offered this sacred mantra, we imagine that this illumination in our heart centers begins to take the form of Medicine Buddha. And at this point in our practice, Medicine Buddha takes on the form of a healer. I often say the archetypal healer, the supreme healer. But Medicine Buddha doesn't have to look like the iconic representation of Medicine Buddha as a blue-colored Buddha on a lotus, which you see on the prayer dock. But this light takes the form of the healer, or the healing presence we need to journey with us deeper into this practice. But Medicine Buddha is more than just a being that we imagine, right? Medicine Buddha is also a feeling, a thought, a sensation, a movement. Medicine Buddha can arise as joy, or the feeling of spaciousness. Or Medicine Buddha can be this experience of openness, or this experience of just deeply relaxing. That can be Medicine Buddha. So how is Medicine Buddha showing up for you? How is the healer speaking to you right now? before we continue, just taking a moment to rest within this awakening of Medicine Buddha. And when you've identified this arising of Medicine Buddha, just let that experience of Medicine Buddha have its space. Let that experience be present and real for you in this practice, in this moment. We allow this experience to begin to take us, to move us, to accompany us into these deeper, profound experiences of healing. And as we're opening to this experience, we turn our attention to our main mantra. The traditional main mantra in this lineage, the Kagyu lineage of Medicine Buddha, Teya Taum Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Ratsa Sumung Gate Soha, which translates roughly as like this, we pray for the end of pain and suffering and the root of pain and suffering. And we dedicate the energy of this mantra out to all beings, so that all beings may be free from suffering. So you can chant along or just kind of listen, but just allow the practice to take you where it needs to take you, remembering the support of the earth and the seeds that are always anchoring, tethering you. And this is the ceremony. And we begin. O te a taum begenze ma begenze ranzuzumungare suha te a taum begenze ma begenze ranzuzumungare suha te anda begenze ma begenze razuzumunga So just turning my attention to our prayer requests, and again we call the attention of all the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the Dharma protectors, all the beings of light, to all the guardians and caretakers of the lands, the waters, the fire, the air, to all the really beings that love us, who want us to be free. We call to you, and we offer these prayers to you, and we pray that you bring these prayers to fruition. And as you're doing that, we pray that you show us also how to continue to work to bring about the fruition of these prayers for ourselves and for our beloveds and for the world as well. We begin by offering prayers for the liberation of all beings from suffering. May we all be liberated as quickly as possible. Offering prayers for Sharon, Kathy, Judith, and Melissa. Prayers for Juniper Jane on her continued treatment journey. Prayers that all beings may reach their destination safely. Prayers for my sister for a healthy delivery. Prayers for my physical and mental health. Prayers for my son of protection and comfort. Prayers that I find the courage to allow life to bless me in ways that I have no idea of yet, and that I find work that is aligned with my heart. Prayers for Marianne, prayers for Ara as she is entering her last week of silence and retreat. Prayers for my mom, may spring bring her more comfort in her surroundings. Prayers for Harry, prayers for courage, prayers for release, prayers for Lama Rod to be free, prayers for A, hoping all is well with her help. Prayers of gratitude for tenants and for CPE, prayers for Ara's transition to school and her agency, appetite, health, and community. Offering prayers for all beloved struggling with loss, depression, and grief. Prayers for universal awakening and liberation. Prayers for N and R to be healthy, safe, well, and free. Prayers for a sleep cycle reset and spring emergence. Prayers for assistance in the work and the work to be done. Prayers that I am able to stay grounded and overcome my anxiety and depression. Prayers for Gabriel's health to improve and for his life to become stabler. Prayers that I get a rewarding job that aligns with the Dharma as soon as possible. And may all beings recognize their liberation. Prayers for spiritual teachers who realize that war and fascism are wrong but have chosen not to speak out for fear of losing money or causing disharmony. May they be blessed with compassion and courage. Prayers for us to remember our true nature. May we get free as quickly as possible. Prayers for Robin and her court involvement dissipates into a non-issue. Prayers that we may soften to the medicine of the land. Prayers for the Richardson family. May they receive all the love and support they need to heal and to be well. Offering prayers for my daughter-in-law, Cherno, may she receive all the love and comfort she needs to live and be happy again. Prayers that I may have all the courage and resources I need to change my situation and move on to a better life. Prayers for all those under siege by immorality and greed. May they find freedom from the forces that oppress them. Prayers for BCS as she transitions home from rehab. Prayers for clarity, acceptance, compassion, and courage to keep my heart open and take important risks. Prayers for A and J who are dealing with disability and cancer. Prayers for folks who are grieving the victims and aftermath of the Lupu Lupu Festival as we approach the 1 year anniversary. Prayers for Palestine, Iran, Lebanon, Sudan, Congo, Ukraine, for gender diverse folks, especially in the U.S., who are trying to move to safer places. Prayers for my friend Toshabe, who is currently traveling at high risk for ICE arrest. Prayers for my brother. May he make the brave choice to help himself through acceptance of support. Prayers for my brother and I to heal each other and love each other and can become each other's strength and support. Prayers for my friend Sandy through her chemo. Prayers for me to heal my mental and physical health. Prayers for my ancestors, particularly my Goma Marie from Haiti, asking their protection and their care. I need guidance and resilience so they can teach me how they did it. Love to them and to all the spirits and the grand beings in our lives together. Prayers for Patrick, my brother, for his healing. I pray I get to see him soon. Prayers for Tony and Nikki. Prayers for Tony and Nick as they get used to life without their mom Joy. And prayers for Joy as she makes her way through the bardo. May she and all her love and her May she and all her love have peace and clarity. All her loved ones have peace and clarity. Prayers for me to have self mercy and self love and the experience of feeling abandoned with my family. Prayer to let go of holding on so damn hard to myself and give spirit a way to move me quickly, or however they do it, or to where I am needed and loved. Prayers that I'm able to relax into the energy of transformation and upheaval in my life. Prayers for all beings in the process of transformation. Prayers for protection from any and all hurt and harm from institutions and individuals. Prayers for end of their mourning period, that they know that they are loved and loved. Prayers for C to feel better from her recent illness. Prayers for A to find community. Prayers for employment immediately. Prayers for continued healing. Prayers of gratitude for my benefactors for their protection and care. Prayers for governmental figures that they get what they need so they stop harming the world and beings in it. Prayers for me getting sober and changing unhelpful habits to find a steady, natural flow with life. Prayers for my elderly mother as she withdraws from the material world and navigates dementia. Prayers for Trevor to always feel peace. Prayers for Z to trust her own wisdom. Prayers that my father may be healed, that Kai may be healed, that my ancestral lineage may be healed. Prayers for the transition of Tootie and Tita. Prayers of protection for my wife and my unborn son as he prepares to be born. Prayers that I can find some solutions to improve the neuropathy in my feet and that the anxiety around the sensations in my feet lessens. Prayers for Ricky Joyner, who entered the bardo on March 12th, where his wife, children, friends, and other family members who miss him greatly. Prayers for Mark P. to have a smooth recovery from unexpected brain surgery. Prayers for more trust in all the helpers and that the help has always been there, is here right now, and will always be there to be in dialogue with the helpless much more freely, lovingly, and openly. Prayers of gratitude that the astronauts returned to Earth safely. Prayers that I continue to have patience and faith as I navigate this big transition around my housing situation. Prayers for Pamela's chronic pain to be eased. Prayers for my dad to feel loved. Prayers for offering reconciliation and loving correction to folks in my community that I need to make amends with and ask for accountability from. Prayers for my bladder pain to resolve. Prayers for all my patients to be free. Prayers for my next employment opportunity to work with like-hearted people who share the values of humanity in the workplace. Prayers I move beyond the experience of being scapegoated, and I'm able to rest into beloved community. Offering prayers of safety for all our families, beloveds, and medicine. Prayers for liberation for all of us, with no exceptions. Prayers for clarity. Prayers for those who do not have homes. Prayers for me to find safety. We continue to offer all unspoken prayers as well, even the prayers that we don't even know need to be asked. We offer all of these prayers, and we continue to pray for the complete abolition of all systems of harm and violence that prevent so many of us from having access to the resources that we need to be well, safe, happy, free. Um, we continue to pray for all those, especially in this world, and really in all the worlds, who are in this moment in transition or preparing to transition into the next world, into the bardo or the spirit world. Right? We lift up all of these prayers to all of our sources of refuge, that you take these prayers and you bring them to fruition, and also bless us to help to bring all of these aspirations, these prayers into fruition. May we all get free as quickly as possible. May this be so now. And as we begin to turn back into our practice, we turn first back into opening, clearing the way for so many beings to journey with ease and with as few obstacles as possible back into the bardo, the spirit world. And as we begin, I call into the space and call the attention of all beings who are trying to make their way back, as they are letting go of this material world, letting go of body, letting go of connections and relationships, beginning to shake all of this loose and beginning to transition back into the formless. I call especially upon the element of water to clear this way, to open the portals for beings who need something opened so that they may be guided back. And as I offer this water offering, and as I pour the water, we imagine that this water becomes energy that begins to clear a path, that begins to clear a way for all of these beings, as if we're imagining that, like, a road or a path of something begins to clear or open from within, maybe the sense of darkness, right? So as I pour, this path opens, and we all just imagine that, just imagining this path opening back to the spirit world. And as I offer this water, I will also be chanting the Vajrasattva mantra. If you have been practicing the Vajrasattva mantra with me, you can chant along with me in your space. But the Vajrasattva mantra is also a mantra we use to clear, to move things through, right? And may, on top of all of this clearing, may all of these beings be cleaned or cleansed of any karma that may get in the way of their peaceful, easeful transition back into the spirit world. May it be so. Om Benza Sattva Samaya Anupalaya Benza Sattva Chenopati Satridu Mebawa Sutukaya Mebawa Sukukaya Mebawa Anuraktu Mebawa Sarasati Mepraya Sasara Kama Siksa Me Siktam Shriyam Juhum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Saratata Gata Benza Mami Musa Benza Bawa Mahasamaya Satso May the path be cleared. May the way open. May all negative karma be washed away. And I also just light a little piece of cedar to also offering as an offering from the earth in this clearance. And again, may through the offering of the cedar, may all negative energy, all negative forces be cleared. May beings be released from all of the bondage of heavy, intense karma. May it be so as quickly as possible. And a final gesture here. So just imagining as we move back into just a few moments of the Medicine Buddha mantra, that just imagining that you're just kind of like clearing things from the space around you. And this clearing or this gesture is just a kind of like a little bit of an energetic boost for spirits, maybe who want to linger around. So this is our gesture that just kind of gently kind of urges them into their transition. So may all beings, all spirits, all energies around us be freed, be liberated, back to the places they need to go. May this be so. And just for a minute or two, just returning back to the Medicine Buddha mantra. And as we do so, again, just returning back to this radiance in our heart centers, the way that Medicine Buddha has arisen for us in our practice. Just sitting in that, resting in that experience. And so we begin again. O Teyanda Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Razumungarezuha Teyanda Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Razumungarezuha Teyanda Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Razumungarezuha Teyanda Begenze Beganze ma beganze ranzu mungarezuha de anda beganze beganze ma beganze ranzu mungarezuha. And so, continuing to let this illumination or this experience of Medicine Buddha just kind of dwell with you just for a couple more moments. And when you're ready, imagining that this experience just dissolves into space and emptiness itself, as if you're returning water back to water, or releasing a breath from your body, allowing that breath to return back to the air around you. As simple as that, we let go. And as we let go, we return our attention back to the seat, to the weight of our bodies and the seat rising to hold us. Connecting to the earth once again, to the land, feeling the tethering of the land and the seat, feeling the expansiveness of the sky. And when we feel settled, I invite you just to begin to reawaken your bodies through simple movement. Maybe through a few deep cleansing breaths as well. And then we turn our attention to our closing prayer, Shantideva's mantra, which you'll already see in the chat, which we'll recite 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they all pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I also support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. All right. All right. Thank you all so much for your practice. It's been lovely. Until we meet again, may the blessings of Medicine Buddha and all the Buddhas be with you. May the protection of all the Dharma protectors surround you. May you be blessed, and may you be held, may you be of benefit, and may you be the medicine for all beings. May this be so.